am just thrilled over this, to be honest with you, because I've been saying it for quite some time, as well as a lot of other people. But look, we've asked that government to help us with this problem. Mm-hmm. And it almost invariably they always say no. Yeah. And so guess what? We went over your head, Mr. President.
Yeah.
And by the way, we got him.
I'm Flindt Andersen, founder of PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need. I've been in recovery since 2001, and there isn't much I don't know about recovery. And my mission is to constantly tell the truth about addiction, to make the realities of addiction, recovery, and drug culture known, and to drive awareness and advocate change that ultimately saves lives.
And I'm Jason LaChance, a certified recovery coach with a passion for speaking with others and sharing their knowledge to help others seek recovery and maintain long-term sobriety. And this is the Don't Hide the Scars podcast, presented by PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need. Thank you for joining us on the Don't Hide the Scars podcast. Of course, I'm Jason LaChance and the founder of PAIN, Flindt Andersen. Good sir, how are we?
I'm good, Jason. How are you doing today?
I am well, and I am extra well because I like when huge dents are made in the fight that we're in. And if people hadn't seen the headline as of the release of this episode, U.S. operation to capture Sinaloa cartel leaders had the help of one of the captured men, a son of El Chapo. Officials say 2 cartel leaders that have been taken into custody. And I think, like our last episode, are we seeing a shift? I think so. And I think this is a good positive sign.
This is a great positive sign. And and as both you and I were reading this article, all right, there's lots to unpack here with this. And we actually did it without the help of the Mexican government.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it sounds like we pissed off President Obrador a little bit. And guess what? I don't care. Okay. Yeah. I just simply don't care on that one.
Yeah. And we got the link in the podcast description, the reporting from CNN on this. And the 2 individuals that were arrested were Ismael El Mayo Zambada, 76, allegedly one of the co-founders and leader of the powerful Sinaloa cartel. He was arrested in Texas Thursday, actually, and it seemed that they worked out some sort of a deal to get Joaquín Guzmán López, or El Chapo Jr., essentially, on a plane, thinking they were going to like Brazil or some other country. This report says that it was pursuing and looking at land in Mexico right around the border against Texas. And nope, that plane landed in El Paso, man.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Yeah. Mr. Guzman the second, your ass now, I don't think is ever going to see Mexico again. But, it's interesting what the president of Mexico said. He said that the United States must give a full reported detail of this operation, and there has to be complete transparency in on this bust. Guess what? No, it doesn't. The reason why we got those guys is because we didn't confer with the Mexican administration and the president, because we can't trust them. I don't give a damn what anybody says. Right? Yeah. This is the time. I mean, I am just thrilled over this, to be honest with you, because I've been saying it for quite some time, as well as a lot of other people. But look, we've asked that government to help us with this problem. Mm-hmm. And it almost invariably they always say no. Yeah. And so guess what? We went over your head, Mr. President.
Yeah.
And by the way, we got him.
Yeah.
And we ain't giving them back. Yeah. All right. Just like El Chapo himself was doing life in prison here in the States, these 2 guys are gonna wind up doing life in prison here as well. And by the way, I am glad my tax dollars are paying for that one.
Yeah. Agreed. And an interesting thing, I had found an article concerning Zambada back, I think it was 2010, and I don't know what the report was. I don't know if it was the time that he had been busted and immediately got out or what it was, but said something about not being capable of doing the time in prison and he probably ended up taking his own life. Well, the guy is what, 79 now?
76.
76. I mean, you know,
Oh, well.
The way I see it, this is consequence of your actions. And if this is the way that you live out your life, that's how it goes, man.
Right, right. Well, you know, I'm reading this one article right here where it says that Zambada entered a not guilty plea to all charges at his first federal court appearance Friday morning. That's this morning in El Paso, and is being held without bond on 7 federal criminal counts, including continuing criminal enterprise and money laundering. He also agreed to waive his right to personally appear and to ask for bond at a hearing set for July 31st. What, did he think he was going to ask for bond? Do you think we would even give him bond on this? You know, but you know, Jason, there are times when I'm reading that article or that paragraph, I'm thinking, do we have some liberal judge here that is going to give this cat bond? Let me put it this way. It wouldn't surprise me. I would be so outrageously pissed because of it, but it wouldn't surprise me. So I'm hoping, all right, that these guys have enough sense that they're not going to give this guy bond, because you'll never see him again.
No, you would think that they would be able to assess this an incredibly flight risk. I mean, there's no question about that. And you would hope, being in El Paso, Texas, that wouldn't be the case. But
right.
But I mean, stranger things continue to happen. And back to the front of, you know, the comments from the president of Mexico about it. I mean, you bring up such a valid point. I'm sorry, Mr. President, you personally may not be compromised, but your government is.
Right.
You know,
right.
I mean, we see it. We've had it. And, you know, we've heard the stories of people that have been trafficked where their entire towns, a lot of the existence of it is because of the way that drug money flows through. But of course, they're also slaves to that. If they decide that, hey, this person, you're now going to be the one that mules this across, or we want to traffic your kids, you have no say in it. And it's a damn shame. I'm going to choose my words so I don't get pissed off and use too many language. It's just kind of like a how dare you? Like, right. You know, you want to sit and question the actions of this. What about your own country? Look what's going on here.
I mean, you can't tell me that the president of Mexico, I'm just going to say it, okay? You cannot tell me that the president of Mexico is not on the take somewhere.
It would be hard to believe not.
It would be.
Because look what happened to the people that weren't. The lady that was elected mayor, and I'm drawing a blank on the city in Mexico. What happened? She was against the cartel. They killed her right after the election. This is what we're dealing with, and I think people forget that. And we, you know, look, our whole thing is about being humane here and helping people, and sometimes saying the difficult things. And I've been learning so many interesting lessons parenthood will teach you about what love is. And it isn't I'm going to make you comfortable in every situation, but this is the uncomfortable reality. And you're not going to be able to fight these people with peace and love. I'm sorry. I wish you could. I wish you could go to them and go, look what you're doing. You know, look how inhumane this is. And just, I mean, do you have a faith that you're going to go somewhere else? Because I don't see you meeting, you know, God at the pearly gates with your actions or whatever it is. But that's not going to happen.
Right. I agree. I totally agree with you on that. You know, I keep going back to this scene in the Netflix presentation of Narcos. And there's a scene in there where one of Pablo Escobar's hitmen went to Miami to take out a rival drug gang member. But in the process, and again, I mean, a lot of that show is factual. I don't know how much is not, but the scene is that this young soldier of Escobar's not only took out the drug dealer, but took out a DEA agent as well. Mm-hmm. And as he's sitting in court, the judge released him on $2 million bail. Now, I want you to think about this, because this is the truth. In Escobar's days, the problem wasn't getting the cocaine into the United States. it was getting the cash from the United States back into Colombia, because the cash was so there was so much of it that they wound up burying it on farms across the country of Colombia, to where at one point, again, this is factual, that it actually some rainstorm came and hit and washed up all this money, and it literally blocked off a small creek, okay, because of the amount of bills that were there. And so my point to this is, some judge, that's why I'm not discounting this or I'm not quite believing this statement here. Some judge in that movie scene released this guy on $2 million bail, because $2 million to those guys is like us pulling out $20 out of our pocket.
Yeah.
So that $2 million was paid. The guy's, next thing you know, I mean, really, he's going to stay in Miami? No. Okay. I mean, back on the private plane, back in Colombia, they didn't get him till the end. But, I don't think that the general public looks at stuff like that, like the monies, okay, that are being made here, and the I mean, Escobar was one of the, like, I don't know, I'm going to say like one of the third or fifth richest men in the world at one point, with so much cash on hand. I mean, it was literally billions of dollars in cash. So when you talk about the president of Mexico trying to fight this thing, how does he think we're going to win?
Right.
How does he think we're going to win? I wouldn't be surprised at some point that the United States actually, I mean, really pulls out the big guns, and almost invasion tactics to stop this, because I think that that's the only way that it's going to get stopped.
Yeah. There's a great movie. Well, I don't know about great, but it starred Nicolas Cage and Tommy Lee Jones back in the 90s, called Firebird. So it was this joint task force, and Tommy Lee Jones and Nicolas Cage are Apache attack helicopter pilots. And so they team up with part of the Mexico as well to go in and take out these cartels. Well, I'm going to tell you, that would be pretty damn effective if we could make it reality.
Right?
And it's sad. And as a human and what we do, and we've seen so many people at the brink turn their life around. I value human life, and I hate for it to be that way. But this is a war.
It is.
And it's sad, and it breaks my heart that it has to be, because, we just did last week on Melanie Ramos, 15-year-old, ladies and gentlemen,
right,
in an LA school. Couldn't be found for 8 hours, found dead from fentanyl in a bathroom.
Right.
And that's what we're fighting for, is that the Melanie Ramoses and the other kids and adults, a whole spectrum of ages. I mean, goodness, I was just rewatching last week's intervention with our buddy Mike Diamond, was one of the interventionists on it, and some great footage that I want to get out on our social media, where these individuals, they're sitting there talking about their fentanyl use and how this is. And they're, these individuals are now over a year sober, and they're doing well. And it's amazing to see how they can turn, but you really see how just extreme. They were spending $200 a day. That's $6,000 a month.
Right.
Now imagine what you can do sober with $6,000 a month to build your life.
Right.
And these young men and women are starting to get that. And I'm sorry, it's like you and I always say, this isn't a single-headed dragon here.
No, it's not. And like I've always said, when you're fighting the dragon, you got to start by cutting off the head.
Yeah.
You can't start at the tail and work up.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, at 559-579-1551, or visit us online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Pain Nonprofit. And please subscribe to the Don't Hide the Scars podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. And if you would like to donate to PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, please click the link in the description to make your tax-deductible donation today and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.
President of Mexico he does make a valid point here when he says, the United States really has to address the drug problem in the United States.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I believe he's right.
Yeah.
We have not addressed it to the point where it needs to be addressed. Yep. We've acknowledged that it's here. We've acknowledged where it comes from. We even acknowledge the deaths that are caused by it. But we're not acknowledging the change that needs to be made in order to help these people.
Yeah.
That's what we're not only are we not acknowledging it, and I think that maybe the powers that be are not acknowledging it because they don't know how to change it. But yet again, they're asking the wrong people on how to change it. Because if you look at treatment today, and it doesn't matter what the drug is anymore. I mean, it really doesn't, because all drugs are kind of, even though they're different, there's different highs to them. There's different everything about them. When it comes to treatment, they're kind of treated the same.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. B, we have kind of left everything alone since the 60s in this. Now, we've come up with other medications that will make it easier. But when you look at treatment today, because it's based on insurances and insurance policies, and even treatment industry itself, these 28-day programs, those were actually developed prior to the 60s. So when you compare the philosophy, when you compare just the decades of treatment, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
It's 28 days, or it's 17 days, or because the insurance policy has dictated that the person gets out, the person's supposed to go to outpatient. They're in there for X amount of time. The insurance companies only pay so much, whatever it is. And I'm not saying some of it doesn't work, because some of it does work with people. But for the most part, it doesn't, because they're not given enough time to stay in these programs in order to get healthy again.
Yeah.
And so we can blow up Mexico, but if we're still getting drugs in from someplace else, and by the way, we're never going to stop the flow of drugs in from Mexico totally. We could put a major dent in it if we wanted to. Until we change the treatment industry, we're still going to have the same mess internally.
Yes, and I'm going to jump back to the reference I made about intervention. As I watched the show, but casually, and this is the first time I've really watched it in sobriety. Ironically, going, oh my goodness, those people have a problem. When I was still in my alcoholism, the irony, right?
Right.
But watching, what those people get to participate on that show, it's a minimum of 90 days.
Right.
Every single one of them. And why they tend to have some longevity, because it's a minimum of 90 days. If you watch closely, they talk about their outpatient process and everything else. It is a continuum of care.
Correct.
And my thought on what goes on with the government is how they're like, oh, we don't know how to tackle this. It's because they don't realize is that, much like many other things, You'd maybe be better off building roads with private companies that bid. You would be the same when it comes to helping people. If you let the professionals do the professional work, and that's no knock on the people that are overran in the VA,
Right.
our county behavioral health and everything else, you're not equipped. And there
Correct.
needs to become a point where our leadership, and I'm sorry, but different parties have different perspectives on this. Some want to be the big government overall reaching, and some realize the best way we can do it is let privateers do the work. And this is a situation where that needs to be honest and seen, because it's our citizens' lives. It's human lives.
Absolutely, it is. I was on the phone prior to this with someone and talking about their child who has been in this for at least 15 years, and this person is just under 40 years of age. And as I was explaining to him kind of the process of what I wanted to do with his child and to get the ball rolling, we were talking about this person, this child, who thinks they have it all figured out. And this person has been to several treatment centers, but this person has never spent more than maybe the original 28 days and then blown out of there and didn't finish outpatient, didn't get with the program, in other words. Yeah. And dad couldn't understand this, and I was telling him that, well, one of the reasons is that, because of what opioids do to the brain, this kid nobody gave him the right direction. Okay. Now, let's say somebody did give him the right direction. The bottom line here is that this person didn't finish it either. Okay. Didn't because addicts have a hard time finishing anything. And the fact that because of their opioid addiction, their brains are not a normal. If that person's 40 years old, that's not a 40-year-old brain. That's a 20-year-old brain.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to we are not presenting the right type of treatment to people. And I heard somebody on doing a reel or something the other day too, and again they're talking about the whole love thing and blah blah blah, and it's like, look, no, the reality here is you can't love somebody out of this. Okay, you just can't do it. This is hard ass stuff, and sometimes, Jason, I even fear that because we've let this go so long now, and I'm not trying to be negative because I'm one of those guys that I would hope that everybody gets clean and sober, but that's not a reality. But my God, I'm afraid we've just lost it. I'm afraid we've just lost it. And unlike the Chinese, who think in 50 or 100-year increments about their country and where they want to be in those timeframes, we don't think that way. And so I kind of think in those terms. Where are we going to be even in 20 years with this?
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to probably be dead. Okay, but you're going to be alive, right? I mean, the mess the mess just keeps on being left.
Yeah.
For the next generation to try to sweep up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is in a list of platitudes, and as much as I enjoy various quotes of wisdom, they're not going to get us out of this. They might inspire someone to keep going for another 24, but sure. Yeah, it's not. I mean, sure, I go to 12 steps. I collect chips. I think it's great to see people collect chips, but that's just a sign of what it is. There is no big trophy for this other than a good life lived. and a life of self-examination. And unless you can get that individual to start really examining their life, I've been talking with someone new with recovery, and I was very impressed of how they are examining their life right now. And they're taking it really serious as far as that goes. And I just, like you said, 28 days with someone that's on opioids, and my goodness, your body after 28 days, you're still going to want this synthetic form of dopamine and serotonin and all these things that you're going to get bored really fast with it.
Really fast.
And it's that pushing, it better than I do, that pushing through all of that BS that is in there and dug down, that's not going to feel really good.
Right.
And if we can't give these people time and an environment to start to unravel some of that stuff and have the right resources, 28 days ain't going to do a damn thing.
No, it's not. It's interesting. I was obviously, I've been wrestling with a few things lately, and I got a call from a childhood friend of mine yesterday afternoon, and I'm going to give a shout out to Ted. He called me just to see how I was doing. Just wanted to check in and support and all that type of thing. And he goes, oh yeah. Towards the end of the conversation, he goes, oh yeah. He goes, I forgot to tell you, on the 27th, it's going to be 35 years. And I just went, whoa, 35 years of sobriety, and I'll tell you what, and I can say this about my buddy Ted, because him and I, we met in the 6th grade and we've been friends ever since. Never expected this, by the way, and he didn't expect this my sobriety out of me either. Okay, we both thought we were gonna die a long time ago, but he made an interesting comment yesterday in the midst of our conversation. He said, he goes, I choose to be happy today.
Mm.
That was that. I mean, and in the context of the conversation we were having, okay, it was like, wow, does that make total sense to me? And he's always been an uplifting guy. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always doing that. But he can be a pain in the ass too, right? But he's such a good man. But I love that statement. He goes, today I choose to be happy, no matter what's going on around me. And that has a lot to say for his sobriety, man.
Yeah. Well, and I know it's one of the greatest gifts that I've had, despite, as knowing we're both in the thick of some BS in various ways. That same perspective of realizing, wow, how much stronger I've gotten from the person I used to be. Like that beautiful thing of, I mean, how many people really get the opportunity of radical transformation? We've seen it where it's people that have gotten sober, thrived. Maybe it's weight loss or a mental health challenge or another physical health challenge, whatever it may be, to where I'm like, I looked in the mirror and went, wow, I actually have that ability now to choose happiness.
Yeah.
And I've been able to do it through finding what my values are, being a person of gratitude, even for the crappy experiences, because I know there's a lot to learn there. And it's taken some time. And that is the time that we try to, and we do raise our voices about, that is the opportunity we are just wanting others to have. New Perceptions North, the premier drug and alcohol treatment and recovery center in Central California. A full continuum of medically supervised top quality care with programs for detox and patient residential treatment with dual diagnosis, intensive outpatient treatment, sober living support groups, and more. New Perceptions North provides adult men and women with the highest caliber of professional health care, treating each client with compassion and respect, in a safe, comfortable environment to begin the process of recovery to proudly create and sustain a life without addiction. Call 559-978-1507 or visit newperceptionsnorth.com.
I agree. And look, even in the tough times, I feel how do I put this? For those that have not experienced the sobriety that I've experienced, or the length of time, whatever it is, a lot of people they can't see that. They can't see that happiness yet, but that also comes down to, again, we're not giving them the right tools for that. I really believe that. I mean, how does one become happy, in today's world and today's society, and live like that? And I'll tell you what, and we've said it on here before, I think most of it comes down to the 12 steps, and it comes down to reading that book. Okay. I mean, I wish non-addicts and non-alcoholics would read that damn thing. Okay. Because there's so much truth in it. There's so much just truth. Yeah. All right. And so much wisdom in those 12 steps. And I know my buddy Ted, that's where he got most of it from. He was a 12-step Nazi in his early days, and had to be, right. And just had to be. So, but again, that's what, kind of going back to the Mexico thing here. I'm just thrilled that this has taken place. But if, like I said earlier, when you cut off the tail, that tail has a tendency to grow back. Yeah. Right. And that's like the cartel. So yeah, we got these two guys, right? There are probably 100,000 more. Yeah. Men and women that want to fill those roles. Yeah. Okay. So until the ultimate message is sent, and to me, that ultimate message is, let's drop them, baby. Yeah. Okay. I mean, if we're going to take them out, let's take them out. Yeah. And again, like you said, I adore human life. I don't want innocent people being killed over this, but those cartels are killing innocent people every day, all day. Yeah. Every day, all day. See, as a society, we lose track of that. Yeah. We just see the numbers. We see the numbers of, this is the amount of fentanyl that's coming over the border. These are the amount of vehicles that are coming over the border. These are the amount of DEA agents that are working the border. These are the number of border patrol along Texas and Arizona. It's a numbers thing. Well, what would happen if we started showing the numbers of everybody that died in Mexico and the United States every day? Yeah. I mean, think about that. Yeah. And I'm just not saying show the numbers. I'm saying show the pictures. Mm-hmm. Show the pictures of those little children, those middle-aged people, the older people, the women, the men, all of them. Okay? Show those pictures of what those cartels did to those individuals, those towns, those families. And then show the numbers and the pictures of everybody that's died of an overdose here. And again, I want to be clear. A lot of times addiction is a choice. It's also a disease. I believe that. But sometimes that addiction is a choice. And I know people are out there going, well, that person overdosed. Well, that was his choice. Well, maybe. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, maybe. But but again, I'm going to say it. Nobody deserves to die over it. It's just like in the old days. I really wanted the news stations here to publish the amount of narcotic prescriptions that were written every day in the state of California. And by the way, the doctors' names who wrote it. Mm. Of course, nobody would ever do that. Right? Yeah. because we have to have something that is going to shock the out of our society, out of our lawmakers, out of our senators and congressmen. We're going to have something that knocks the shit out of them.
Yeah.
I don't know another way how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people that we have talked to in Sacramento, okay, it's not registering with them either.
Doesn't seem to.
It does. I don't think that the whole thing fully registers with them. It's just like during the Vietnam War when that was my era. All right, when you saw flag draped coffins coming home, Vietnam tried to stop that, by the way. Okay, but when you had that on the news every night. Now I wasn't. I was against the war, but my draft number just didn't come up. But I would have gone if I was drafted. The war was still going on when I graduated from high school. But when you see that fighting in those jungles, believe in the war, not believe in the war, it brought it home.
Yeah,
we need to bring this home.
Yeah,
more than just saying 1,000 people died of an overdose today in the state of California.
Yeah.
Anyway, and yeah, I mean, do you blame the president of Mexico? Yeah, I'm going to blame him. I'm going to blame him somewhat here.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame that country a little bit. But what about the blame to ours? I mean, we've got good law enforcement people busting their asses, doing what they can do. Their hands are tied in a lot of different fashions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because we know these guys.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if we, much like the Vietnam War or World War II, put a memorial for all those lost. It's over 300,000 names you're going to have on that wall now. Right? Exactly. That's a damn big wall.
That's a damn big wall.
Put that down at the Capitol.
Right. So how can anybody not consider this a war that we're in?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weapon. It's been weaponized. I don't know how people cannot see that. This is a designed weapon.
It is. It is. And in my thinking, I'm waiting for the big bomb to drop here. And what I mean by that is that they're not going to literally drop a big bomb, because right now they're dropping millions of little bombs on us.
Mm-hmm.
by bringing this crap in. I'm waiting for it to be in. I don't know if you even want to say it on the air, but I'm waiting for it to be dropped in the water supply, or to be put in the food supply, or put into something. Yeah. All right, that is going to have even a bigger effect.
Yeah. Well, and I think that begs a question too, whereas people, when it was not total isolationism, but where there was an attitude more towards goods, services, including our produce and everything else, clothing, etc., being produced here. There was a reason, because guess what? These countries, what'll make them and their leadership take notice real quick? Hurting their economy.
You bet.
Hurting their economy.
Do you know how much produce comes in from Mexico a year?
Oh, good Lord.
Right. That's the number. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Right.
I couldn't imagine the billions.
Right. I mean, I know I got friends that are in the produce business. Okay. Just these guys alone, what they ship into this state is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So not only could we cripple their economy, but what scares me again is that what if they're putting that in the food supply?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying they can. I'm not saying they are. All right. But some genius somewhere, some evil genius is going to figure out a way how to do it.
Yeah.
And how do we stop that?
Yeah.
Because the minute we say, oh, you know what? Somebody ate some lettuce from Save Mart, okay, and it came in from Mexico, and somebody dies, they thought they ate bad lettuce, but wound up being fentanyl. I can just imagine how many politicians are going, that's not true. because they're good at that.
Yeah, they certainly are. All those things that you saw. No, that's not what happened.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Right. You know, like the assemblyman from Santa Monica a few years ago up in Sacramento that swear to God, I'm sitting there and he goes, I really can't believe that every drug dealer is lacing every pill with fentanyl. My knee starts shaking. I'm sitting next to one of Jim Patterson's staff members, some of Patterson's staff members, and she looks at me. She goes, "Calm down, Flindt. Calm down. We don't need you in jail." And I'm going, "Okay, right?"
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, how can this guy even make that statement?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. You don't have to believe it, but it's fact.
It's a fact, right? Right.
Anything else you want to add, Mr. Andersen?
I don't know, man. Hopefully that this is going to wake a few people up on this one.
Yeah.
You know? And but again, let's give a huge shout out to, you know, our government for this, and to the law enforcement agencies, whether it was DEA, FBI, Homeland, local law enforcement, whatever it was. That was major. That is, it's appreciated, and these men and women that are doing that deserve, wow, they just deserve all the credit in the world for because I also want people to understand these agents and law enforcement, they're putting their lives on the line doing something like this.
Yep.
This is no different than going into Fallujah somewhere. It's a war.
Yeah. Oh, those pilots on that plane that brought that in had to have ice in their veins, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, those cartels, they are militarily ready for anything.
Mm-hmm.
See, because again, I'm hoping people will understand the tentacles that reach out from that drug.
Yep.
Okay? It reaches so many different areas. It's a 20-armed octopus, you know, because you've got, when you're in that drug business, you know, now you're buying illegal firearms. Now you're into child trafficking, human trafficking in general. You're into so many other illegal activities, and you have the cash to do it.
Mm.
And you have the cash to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought about this. If you've got the Sinaloa cartel over here, they're just not into drugs. So I'm just using hypothetical cheap numbers. If they're making $1 billion a year off of their drugs, what the hell do you think they're making off firearms and human trafficking?
Mm-hmm.
And anything else they're shipping over to us or anywhere else in the world? Sure. By the way, they're just not shipping it to the United States, ladies and gentlemen. They're shipping it into Europe, into Asia, into the Pacific Rim,
Canada.
They've got marketplaces all over creation.
Mm-hmm.
So that $1 billion that they're making off of just their drug sales, that's just a small piece of it.
Yeah.
So it's going to take our military. I firmly believe this. It's going to take our military all we got to stop these guys.
Yeah.
And I hope it's coming. And I hope it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough deal.
Yep.
Tough deal. Hard to wrap the mind around sometimes.
It is. It
Yeah.
definitely is. So,
Well, we thank you all, of course, for listening or watching the podcast on YouTube. And hey, Mr. Andersen, let's end on a high note here. And of course, Pain, Parents and Addicts in Need, we're all about community, and we're thankful for all of our community partners, including Granville Homes.
You bet. Granville, again, we just want to thank them. We are part of their Home of Hope project, where they give away a house every year here in the Valley. And all the funds, every nickel of it benefits 9 nonprofits here. All these nonprofits, including ours, does amazing work in our communities. And Granville, Darius Assemi and his crew over there, they take care of us pretty good. And we are just very grateful for them and everything that they do for our community as well.
Yeah. And it's a true example of how when you do good in life, then it's about doing good for others. And him and his team are just extraordinary, wonderful people. And it's great to see. Not only do they build beautiful communities for people to have what we want, right? We want to just have a life filled with joy, raise our families and prosper. And so it's really is a blessed thing for us to be a part of that. And of course, if you want more details or to purchase your tickets from us, the link is in the podcast description, or as far as details, our number to call and find out more as well. So, Mr. Andersen, leave us on some good words.
All right. Well, Jason, thank you again, as always, buddy. I mean, this is, we want to thank our listeners too. It's, thank you for following us. Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope we're getting the message out. And if you ever need our services, please give us a call, because we do it from here across the country. So we're glad to help.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call Pain, Parents and Addicts in Need at 559-579-1551, or visit us online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Pain Nonprofit. And please subscribe to the Don't Hide the Scars podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. And if you would like to donate to Pain, Parents and Addicts in Need, please click the link in the description to make your tax-deductible donation today and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.